One of the interesting things that I found out while I was over there is that the country of Croatia and the province of Herzegovina is like 90% Catholic. That's what they were throwing around when I was over there. The little town of Medjugorje has to be about 100% Catholic. It's just amazing when you get to that town and you feel the religious fervor in that town. There are 6 visionaries. They began having apparitions in 1982. In the beginning, there were daily apparitions. Now, at that time, communism was in control of Yugoslavia, and they were giving the visionaries a hard time. And they were calling them in for questioning. They would come out and try to stop the apparitions, but the visionaries would just move to another part of the hill. There's a hill there called Apparition Hill, which is where the apparitions took place. And they just move over to another part of the hill, and the Blessed Mother would appear to them there. The townspeople began putting up crosses at the places where the Blessed Mother appeared. Communists would come in and take them down and throw them in the bushes at night, and the next morning the villagers would come and put them back up again. And finally the communists realized that when the news of all these apparitions was getting out, people were coming from all over to be there when the apparitions were taking place. And eventually the communists figured out that with tolls they could make some money out of this, so they stopped hassling the visionaries. And then, anyway, there were, as I said in the beginning, there were daily apparitions, but also at the same time the Blessed Mother was, over a period of time, revealing secrets to each of the visionaries. And we don't know what these secrets are yet. They haven't been authorized to release the secrets yet. There's some speculation that one of the secrets has to deal with chastisement for the sinners. Yeah, but the visionaries will neither confirm nor deny that, so we just have to wait and see. We met 2 of the visionaries while we were there, and you get a chance to ask them questions. And if you ask them about the secrets, their standard answer is, don't concern yourself with the secrets. You may not even live long enough to see any of the secrets. Just concern yourself with your life and your relationship with Jesus. The people who have studied the messages have analyzed them, and they have kind of figured out what the main messages from the Blessed Mother are. And there seems to be 5 messages that over time have been repeated a number of times, and those 5 messages have to do with, number 1 is prayer and fasting. The Blessed Mother calls us to a life of prayer and fasting, particularly for the conversion of those who have not yet come to know the love of Jesus. Prayer and fasting offered for conversions will cause many lives to be saved. Mirjana, who was one of the visionaries, the one that we dealt with most of the time we were there, said that we must learn to pray with our heart. We must learn to pray more deeply. That's how our prayer life grows. Our ability to prayer is probably the most frequent message from the Blessed Mother. The second most common message has to do with fasting. Our Lady said that her Son desires that all would come to know His love. Our fasting directly influences that outcome. The sick need not fast, but they must be truly sick. Learning to fast is a gradual thing. It can start by skipping dinner 1 day a week, and gradually we can expand our fasting. The visionary said that they fast on Wednesdays and Fridays. On those days, they have bread and water only, as suggested by the Blessed Mother. Fasting is not easy. We need to pray to God for the strength to fast properly. The third most common message from our Blessed Mother has to do with Holy Mass. Our Lady said that attending Mass on Sundays is the most important thing that a Catholic can do, because that's when her Son comes to us through the Eucharist. The Eucharist needs to be the center of our lives. We should try to attend Mass more than just on Sundays, because the more we can receive the Eucharist, the stronger our faith will be. The next most important thing that was talked about by the Blessed Mother has to do with the sacrament of penance. The Blessed Mother has told the visionaries a number of times that it is important to receive the sacrament of penance at least once a month. This is when her Son gives us special grace to help us on our journey. And the fifth thing that is commonly repeated has to do with the Bible. Our Lady told the visionaries that it is important for each of us to read the Bible, even if it is only a few paragraphs each day. It is not enough just to have a Bible gathering dust in our house. We must read it and familiarize ourselves with the Word. Now, Jeannie and I were there on October 2nd last year when our Blessed Lady appeared to Mariana, and we were only about 100 yards away from the apparition. The message that she gave Mariana that day is, and I'm quoting, "Dear children, as I look at you, my heart seizes with pain. Where are you going, my children? Have you sunk so deeply into sin that you do not know how to stop yourselves? You justify yourselves with sin and live according to it. Kneel down beneath the cross and look at my Son. He conquered sin and died so that you, my children, may live. Permit me to help you not to die, but to live with my Son forever." And Mariana said that as the Blessed Mother was saying those words, tears were coming down her cheek because she was saddened at so much sin in the world. I thought it was interesting. This came in the mail yesterday. Most of you probably got one of these also. 2 of the 5 messages from Medjugorje are featured in this magazine. On page 4 is a story about the Eucharist. It's called Loving the Eucharist. And I'm not going to read it all, but I do want to read one sentence. It says, "The Eucharist is the very sacrifice of the body and blood of the Lord Jesus. It is not merely a reminder that Christ offered his body and blood for our sake. Rather, it is that offering. Jesus himself instituted the Eucharist to perpetuate the sacrifice of the cross throughout the ages until his return in glory." Also, in the same issue is an article called Confession's Comeback, dealing with penance. So there we have two of the 5 most commonly talked about things are both featured in this issue of the Columbian. I just want to read something here on penance. It says, "According to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, those who approach the sacrament of penance obtain pardon from God's mercy for the offense committed against him and are at the same time reconciled with the Church, which they have wounded by their sins." Different dioceses across the country have been investigating what's the best way to get people to come back to penance, because that article points out that people receiving the sacrament of penance, the percentage is declining and declining and declining. Only 61% of Catholics that go to church every Sunday go to penance at least once a year. And only 8% of Catholics that go to church periodically go to penance once a year. So what can we do to get people to come back and start going to penance more often? Once a month, as the Blessed Mother recommended. The dioceses have studied that, said it's important to have penance be at the same time in your parish so that all the parishioners know when it's available. How many in here know when St. Joseph's has penance? Well, that's good. That's a pretty good showing. The answer is Saturday afternoon, 4 to 4:45.
That's for them to decide.
And that's really all I think my 10 minutes are up, so I better shut up.
Well, obviously.